You need to watch this if you struggle with understanding why veto power matters in global politics. The year is 1945. The world stands at a crossroads, emerging from the shadows of the most devastating conflict in human history. World War II has ended, leaving devastation in its wake. Cities lie in ruins, economies are shattered, and millions of lives have been lost or irrevocably changed. Determined to prevent another catastrophe of such magnitude, world powers came together with a shared vision. They created the United Nations, an international organization aimed at fostering peace and cooperation among nations. A key element of this new organization was the UN Security Council, tasked with the critical responsibility of maintaining global peace and security. The veto power was granted to its 5 permanent members: the United States, the United Kingdom, the Soviet Union, France, and China. This was a strategic move to ensure that these major powers would remain engaged and committed to the UN's mission. This ensured their participation and prevented the UN from acting against their core interests, thus maintaining a delicate balance of power. The veto was a pragmatic decision designed to prevent paralysis by disagreements among the major powers. It was a tool to encourage dialogue and compromise. It aimed to prioritize consensus and cooperation, fostering an environment where nations could work together to resolve conflicts. The early years of the UN tested this hope as the Cold War began. Despite the tensions and rivalries, the UN provided a platform for dialogue, helping to manage and mitigate conflicts during this volatile period. The veto power was designed to ensure the UN Security Council's effectiveness. It encouraged cooperation among permanent members, recognizing their pivotal role. The veto served as a deterrent against unilateral action, promoting multilateralism. It was meant to safeguard against aggressive nationalism and promote careful deliberation. The veto aimed to balance power and prevent the UN from becoming a tool for any single nation. The UN Security Council has 15 members, each playing a crucial role in maintaining global stability and order. 5 permanent and 10 non-permanent. These members work together to address the most pressing international issues. The permanent members, or P5, are the US, UK, France, Russia, and China holding veto power. This veto power allows them to block any substantive resolution. The 10 non-permanent members are elected for 2-year terms, representing different regions. These regions include Africa, Asia Pacific, Latin America, and Eastern Europe. They participate in deliberations and vote on resolutions, but lack veto power. Despite this, their contributions are vital in shaping the Council's decisions. The Security Council's primary responsibility is maintaining international peace and security. It addresses conflicts and crises that threaten global stability. It can investigate disputes, impose sanctions, authorize military interventions, and deploy peacekeeping forces. These actions are essential in preventing the escalation of conflicts. Its structure reflects post-World War II power dynamics, despite criticisms of being outdated. Critics argue that the Council needs reform to better represent the current global landscape. Nevertheless, the Security Council remains a cornerstone of international diplomacy, striving to adapt and respond to new challenges in an ever-changing world. Veto power safeguards national sovereignty, allowing permanent members to prevent UN actions against their interests. It symbolizes global influence and shapes international responses to conflicts. The veto encourages deliberation and careful consideration of proposed actions. It promotes a cautious approach to international interventions, preventing hasty decisions. Veto power serves as a check and balance within the Security Council. While controversial, it plays a crucial role in global governance. It maintains stability in a complex world. The veto power faces significant criticism for creating a power imbalance. This power, held by the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, allows them to unilaterally block any substantive resolution. Critics argue it gives undue influence to the 5 permanent members, namely the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Russia, and China. This small group can shape international policy to their advantage, often sidelining the interests of the broader international community. This concentration of power is seen as undemocratic and unrepresentative. Many nations feel their voices are marginalized, leading to a sense of disenfranchisement within the global governance system. The veto can paralyze the Security Council, preventing decisive action in crises. When a single member exercises this power, it can halt progress on critical issues from humanitarian interventions to peacekeeping missions. When interests clash, the veto blocks resolutions, leading to inaction. This deadlock can exacerbate conflicts, as seen in numerous international disputes where timely intervention was crucial. The Syrian civil war saw repeated vetoes by Russia and China, hindering conflict resolution. These vetoes prevented the international community from taking unified action, prolonging the suffering and instability in the region. The use of veto power for national interests undermines the UN's credibility. It raises questions about the organization's ability to act impartially and effectively in the face of global challenges. The composition of permanent members is outdated, failing to reflect current global power distribution. Emerging powers and regions with significant influence are not represented, calling for a re-evaluation of the Security Council's structure to better align with today's geopolitical realities. India aspires to secure a permanent seat on the UN Security Council with veto power. This pursuit stems from India's size, population, economic strength, and peacekeeping contributions. India seeks a stronger voice in decisions impacting international peace and security. It believes its perspectives are underrepresented in the current structure. India's historical efforts for a permanent seat date back to the early UN years. It advocates for Security Council reform to reflect 21st century realities. India's path to a permanent seat faces challenges, including resistance from existing permanent members. India's pursuit of a permanent seat is linked to its role in the Non-Aligned Movement, NAM. As a founding member, India champions multilateralism and sovereign equality. Securing a permanent seat aligns with these principles, giving a voice to a developing nation. Throughout the Cold War, India advocated for a more equitable power distribution within the UN. India's involvement in NAM has garnered support for its bid. NAM's emphasis on reforming global governance supports India's aspirations. India's commitment to multilateralism strengthens its case for permanent membership. India's quest for a permanent seat faces numerous obstacles. The UN Charter requires a 2/3 majority vote in the General Assembly and P5 concurrence for amendments. Existing permanent members have varying positions on Security Council reform. Navigating these differing views and building consensus is crucial for India. Regional rivalries like Pakistan's opposition pose challenges. The issue of veto power is contentious, with some nations opposing its extension to new members. India's success requires overcoming resistance and securing regional support. India is part of the G4 nations, along with Brazil, Germany, and Japan, supporting each other's bids for permanent seats. The G4 advocates for a more representative and effective Security Council. They argue their economic strength and peacekeeping contributions justify inclusion. The G4 alliance coordinates diplomatic efforts and builds consensus for reform. They face opposition from regional rivals and the Uniting for Consensus group. Despite challenges, the G4 remains key in the debate on Security Council reform. Their advocacy keeps the issue on the international agenda. India's growing economic and political influence strengthens its case for permanent membership. As the world's largest democracy and a major economy, India plays a crucial role in global affairs. Its peacekeeping contributions and commitment to multilateralism demonstrate readiness for greater responsibilities. India's economic rise provides leverage in international negotiations. Its democratic principles align with UN values, enhancing its credibility. India's active participation in international forums shows commitment to multilateralism. This strengthens India's case for a permanent seat on the Security Council. India's pursuit of veto power aims for a more equitable international order. It envisions a Security Council reflecting global diversity and addressing developing countries' concerns. With veto power, India could shape responses to global crises and promote peace. India's unique perspective as a diverse democracy could enhance decision-making. Its commitment to dialogue and diplomacy could bridge divides among member states. India's quest for veto power is about contributing to a more peaceful and equitable world.